Hi, I'm Dr. Ken Mathis, and I'm going to demo Security for Confluence Data Center by Soteri. Security for Confluence is a tool which scans Confluence spaces and reports if there is sensitive information in them, such as passwords, API keys, OAuth tokens, bank account info, social security numbers, and so forth. Here we are looking at the home of a Confluence space that has a page and a blog post. We notice on the left that we have a new tab, Soteri Security Scans. This is the primary method of getting to our scanning functionality. This tab will only appear if you are a space admin for this space or a Confluence admin. Notice that this tab will be present as we work on blog posts and pages. Clicking on it will bring us to the Security Scan report. Right now we see a message that the space has not been fully scanned, so we should scan it by clicking on the Scan Space button in the upper right. After a short time, we see the scan complete and all of the sensitive data it found. Notice that we can narrow down the findings by page or blog post by way of these drop-down boxes here. By default, the most recent version of the page or blog post appears. However, all versions are scanned, and we can view the scan of each version if we so choose. If we wanted to scan just one page, we can do so by clicking the Scan Page button in the upper right. To return to the space view, simply click this X. Notice that the Scan Page button has changed back to the Scan Space button. Now, a rule is a regex that each piece of content is compared against. Many rules also have additional filtering logic to better distinguish between actual sequence and example data. For each finding, we see the content title, version, and the specific text highlighted in yellow which triggered the listed rule. At this point, we can determine if this is legitimate sensitive information or if it is a false positive. Now, in the case of the Slack token, we determine that it is a false positive, and so we may mark the finding as reviewed, like so. This means that any finding that matches this exact text in this space will no longer be reported now or in the future. Accordingly, notice that the other finding's rule name has also been grayed out. We may control whether we wish to see these reviewed findings with this toggle here. We may also unmark a finding should we change our mind. I'll leave them marked for now. All of the findings in the space can be exported to a CSV file by clicking on the Export Space button here. We notice that the relevant information for each finding is provided, such as content title, version, rule name, the text itself, and whether it's been marked reviewed. Now let's change some content. If we go back to the security scan, we notice that we get a staleness warning for the space. And we should rescan to get the latest results. Let's rescan now. Notice that the findings are shown for each version of the page or blog post. Suppose we decide that it's not appropriate for our organization to scan for certain things, such as AWS Client ID. Only Confluence admins can control that behavior with the setting page. To navigate there, click on Administration, General Configuration, and midway down, we see Security for Confluence settings. Here we see all of the global built-in rules organized into categories. To turn off scanning for AWS client IDs, we find its rule and turn it off like so. Now, if we go back to our security scan report, it tells us that the scan results are outdated because the enabled rules have changed. Let's rescan to get the latest results. After rescanning, we see that the AWS Client ID findings are no longer there in any capacity. Each scan will remember which rules were on when it took place, so if the rules change, but then change back to how they were, the scan is not outdated, so we will get no scan outdated warning. All of these tasks can be performed via our REST API, so organizations can write scripts to automate their processes, obtain findings, and generate reports. The details of these REST calls can be found in the documentation, obtainable via this information button. This concludes my demonstration of Security for Confluence. Thank you for watching.